Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming to you live from the Kwefo Hall right here on the campus of the University of Ghana, Legon. This is the National Girls Speech and Debate Championship. This is a championship for girls in senior high schools across Ghana, and we have been doing this from the beginning. This is the semi-finals. We have 4 schools join us here as they debate on a topic. We have our judges here. Aside this, we have an empowerment session where experienced people join us to inspire the girls and also show them the way to success. So you are welcome for the next few hours. This is a National Girls Speech and Debate Championship, and wherever you are, whether on YouTube or social media platforms, stay tuned because you are going to enjoy this competition. Once again, this program actually is brought to you by MEMA Productions, a subsidiary of Help a Girl Foundation in collaboration with Ghana Education Service. We are sponsored by SN Anku IP firm, Olam Agri, Cooper Study International, Twalium Industries, Unilever Ghana, Promasidor Ghana, Margins ID Group, Nasco Electronics, Funmill Ghana, Glyco Life, Goldball Jewelry, and we're also supported by Honey Day Foundation and Fabine. NGSDC, we say educate, empower, and encourage. Very soon we are starting our empowerment session. This is when we have experienced people come to speak to the young girls briefly to inspire them, to speak to them in a way that can direct them in life. And we have 2 people who will join us here to have a heart-to-heart talk with these beautiful girls. Are you here? Are the girls here? I cannot hear you. Are you here? NGSDC 2026 is given intentional, it's given informed, it's given clocked. Now, we are going straight to our first session for today. And there is a gentleman who has joined us, and he's ready to speak to you today. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a senior military officer and a senior specialist, an obstetrician and a gynecologist at the 37 Military Hospital. Help me welcome our first speaker for today, Wing Commander Dr. Ejabing.
Good morning. I hope we are all doing well. All right, so thank you very much for your kind introduction. You know, it's nice to see you all. So many years ago, I was just like you guys, you know, but it's unfortunate that my school cannot take part in your program because it's a male school. I learned this is for girls and mixed schools, right? Okay, so today I want us to discuss something very simple, very brief, but maybe something very personal, okay? It's just because I'm a gynecologist. I'm sure you know who a gynecologist is, right? Okay. When I finish, I'll ask those who said yes what we do, all right? So maybe I'm going to be a bit biased because I take care more of women and girls. So, but the guys, don't worry. If you have anything for me, I can answer your questions. So, you know, we would call you guys adolescents, okay? I do not know your age categories. How old is the oldest person here? 20? 18? Okay, I'm assuming that the youngest maybe around 14, and the oldest maybe 18 or 19. Whatever it is, in terms of signs, we are going to categorize you guys as adolescents, okay? And being an adolescent, a lot of things will be going on, both biologically in your body and then psychologically in your brain, okay? And sometimes, depending on how your social system or your social networking is, interaction with parents, you know, also goes, it may shape your understanding in very different ways. I'm going to pick on some few things that maybe some of you might be experiencing here. Because once you're an adolescent, it is a normal or a natural physiological change that you would go through. All right? The first thing I would want to talk about is the fact that it is expected that at least all females in this room, you are supposed to see your monthly flow or your monthly menses, right? Okay. Let me hasten to add that if you should get to a certain age and you do not have your menses, it means there might be a problem. Okay? Sometimes, depending on how you are formed, things may not form the way they are supposed to form. So you realize that somebody may be 19, 20, and that person has not even had her menses yet. That has to be investigated. That is not how it's supposed to be. Also, having your menses too early, maybe 8 or 9, then you are having your menses. That one too may not be how it's supposed to be. We call that it's a term we use as precocious. It means that it is happening when it is not supposed to happen, okay? Before the right time, all right? And especially when it's your first time of having your menses, sometimes some of you may be a bit confused, okay? Because you may not even notice. Maybe you were in class and you saw something coming. You were in church, you were at home. You had to go and ask your mom what was happening and all that. But there's nothing mysterious about having your menses. It's a natural thing. It just tells you that you've gotten to a period we call puberty. Puberty is where you are capable in terms of reproduction. It means that if you are not careful, you may end up, or you can get pregnant. Let me say it that way. Okay, this period is very critical because if you do not get good guidance, some may end up with unwanted pregnancies, what we call teenage pregnancy or adolescent pregnancy. And I'm sure we all know what these things can have on your education, all right? It would be very much inappropriate to get pregnant at this stage of your career. Because one, it's going to truncate your education. Your mates are going to go and leave you behind. Okay? And two, in terms of even the pregnancy and then delivery and all that, it's very challenging. Getting pregnant and going through it can be a very challenging situation. And a whole lot of things can happen, especially to teenage pregnant girls. Okay? So when you have your menses, there's nothing mysterious about it. It just tells you that right now, in terms of reproduction, you are capable of getting pregnant. So it is important that you know how to keep yourself well. And also, a lot of things will start changing in your body, okay? This is where the ladies, especially during the period of adolescence, you start also your development. So you notice changes in your body, not just your menses flowing. You realize that your breasts will start developing. You start having curvy shapes and all that. Those are things that may attract some people to you. But then this is a period you have to be careful, okay? Because if you are not careful and you make any mistake, you are likely to get pregnant. All right? And then again, when it comes to the flow of menses, sometimes the duration varies. Anything between 2 to 7 or 8 days is acceptable. But where it is going beyond or below this period, it may not be acceptable. And sometimes you realize that for your age, maybe you started having your menses around maybe at the age of 11 or 12. And then you realize that maybe you had it this year and it stopped. It never came again until maybe 2 years later. Then it comes again. Then that one, it will flow for some months, it will stop, and then it would resume again and all that. If anybody here is experiencing something like that, don't worry about it. It is very normal, okay? Very normal. It doesn't mean that the fact that you are not having your menses, when it had started prior, it means you are pregnant. No. There is a whole lot of, how many science students do we have here? How many? Oh, okay. Quite a number. So there's a whole lot of things that go on before a woman can have her menses. It starts right from the brain, and then it comes to your ovaries, and then the blood would flow, okay? And usually during this period, that part, that axis, we call it HPO axis, that axis will not be well developed. So you realize that because it's not well developed or well established, you may have your menses maybe for 2-3 months, and then it will stop. You have it again maybe after 6 months and all that. That is okay. Once the axis is fully developed, your menses is going to be regular, and it's going to flow every month. Sometimes too, you may start having your menses, and it can be regular throughout. There is no, there is no formula to it. Okay, everybody and what they experience. All right. And one thing I would want to hammer on is menstrual hygiene. Very, very important. If you're a lady here and you've started having your menses, you have to make sure that you at least change your pad as often as you can. Okay, don't wait till it becomes so full. Maybe you put one pad there the whole day before you change. It's not hygienic. Okay, it is not hygienic. If I know sometimes financial issues and things may make things difficult, but then if you are in a situation where you are financially capable of affording a pad, try, and then if you at least you can even change 3 times a day, it is okay. Okay, because once blood stays there for a long time, it starts to generate some kind of odor, and you wouldn't want to have that. And always make sure that, I'm sure in your schools you have bins and all that. Make sure that these things are disposed of properly, because blood is something that is a rich medium for organisms. More reason why you shouldn't keep your pad on you for a very long time. All right. And to shift into general, I'll give you time for questions, so don't worry. To shift into general things. See, we've all been secondary school students before, okay? And it's worse in the boys' school. Some of them, they don't even like taking their bath, okay? I hope it's not like that with you. Is it like that? Okay, I pray it's not like that. It is good to keep yourself clean. Personal hygiene is very, very important, especially more so if you're a woman, all right? For the men, we do not have to bleed every month. So, that does not mean you shouldn't take your bath a day. I mean, twice a day, if you can. I know that twice a day, it may not be possible. At least once a day is okay, all right? You can manage with once a day. This is very important because there are so many organisms that can also give you a lot of skin conditions and all that. And especially being in our part of the world, because of the humid nature of our weather and all that, some fungal infections are able to thrive well under such temperatures, okay? So it's very, very important. Keeping your body clean, important, especially with your toenails as well, and then your fingernails, toe and fingernails. You can wear one socks the whole week. No, that is not good, okay? That is not good. You have to make sure that you change regularly and keep it clean. Wash what you wear, okay? Keep it. If you have only 2 or 1, wash it. It doesn't matter. It's better to wash that one than to wear it throughout the whole week. Very, very important, all right? And then also, the last bit I would want to say is academics. Okay, academics. You need to take your academics very seriously. I'm sure that is the reason why you are here. It is part of it. And God bless the organizers for such a program. it helps you to develop your confidence, okay? It's very, very important. I mean, if you are keeping yourself clean and doing all that, and you are not doing well in school, then really, what was the point of being in school, all right? You have to make sure that you make the money that your parents are paying worth it, all right? You have to learn. It doesn't matter what course you are doing, whether it's visual arts or whether it's general arts or business or science, you still have to study. Please, I hope I am clear. All right, so with the health stuff, I would really prefer, as I said, I mean, I've given you my profession anyway, so I would prefer that you ask me questions, okay, so that I can address some of your concerns. That is, if there are, whether you're a guy or, I mean, a female, if you have questions, I'm ready to answer your questions. Thank you. I would end here and take your questions. Thank you. Yes, please.
Thank you for the enlightenment that you have given to us. I'm Richard Amponsa with Gomoa Senior High Debate Team. Please, you spoke about the changing of the part by our sisters, having it the ideal situation 3 times a day. Should it be dependent on the volume of blood that comes out, or for hygienic practices, the 3 should be held? Thank you.
So, thank you very much for your question. And it shouldn't entirely depend on the volume of the blood. Because even if you have a little amount of blood, if it stays in the pad for a long time, it will start undergoing some changes, and it will start developing some odor that you wouldn't want to have. So ideally, you don't have to wait for your pad to be full before you change your pad. Even if it's not full, it is prudent that you change your pad. Very, very important. Okay? All right. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, please. Please, my name is Ama Benoa Bempon, and I'm from St. Louis Senior High. I want to ask, are young girls who experience their menses early in life in danger later on in their lives? Because I read somewhere that girls who experience their menses early are prone to ovarian cancer and the likes.
Okay. Can I go ahead? Okay. So, Amma, what you read? All right. Let me answer it this way. When it comes to ovarian cancers or gynecological cancers, sometimes there are some risk factors. Okay, and what you read may not be entirely incorrect. One of the risk factors for ovarian cancer is early menarche. Menarche means that the first time you are having your menses. That is the scientific name for it, menarche, okay? So early menarche and then late menopause. Menopause is when you are stopping your menses, all right? So assuming maybe I had my first menses when I was 11, and then I'm going to have my menopause maybe at the age of 54. That is a very wide interval, okay? Although in Ghana, the average Ghanaian woman will get to menopause at the age of 48 years, 48, 49, all right? Having your menses early does not necessarily translate into having ovarian cancer. However, if the interval from when you had your menses to when you start becoming reproductive, when you start having your children, if the interval is wide, maybe you had your menses at 11, you are going to have your first child maybe at the age of 30. That is a lot of years gone by. And one of the theories that underpin the development of ovarian cancer is something we call incessant ovulation theory. Incessant is something happening over and over again, okay? So the more your ovary is working, ovulating every month from 11 years all the way up to 30 years, that is a lot of years that you've given your ovary to be working without any pregnancy. Because if you are pregnant, your ovaries would rest. You understand? So that is one of the underlying reasons. The more you allow that long period, it means that your ovaries are going to work for a very long period. And that can be a risk factor for developing ovarian cancer. And also, I don't know, maybe secondary school, you like using powder. Talc. There's something in powder called talc. Talc is something that has been also shown to also be a risk factor for developing ovarian cancer. Okay, so really, if there is no need for using powder, just let it be. All right? Yes, and I'm also not saying that if you've bought powder, go and throw it away. No, that's not what I'm saying. All right? But what you read was true, it's right. Having your menses early, but not having your children early can be a risk. All right, thank you.
Please, I would like to ask a question based on your career to actually work around female health and all. Is interested in gynecology. What does it really entail in that field?
Okay. Your journey secondary school, you would have, or let me put it that way, even though now it doesn't really matter. They're able to switch and all that. At least, okay? And of course, after secondary school, you need to start reading medicine. So you need to go to medical school at the university. All right? And after that, after your 6 years of medical training, you become, we use the term house officer. You become a house officer. And during that period of being a house officer, the license that you have to work with is temporary until you finish the 2-year period of your housemanship. All right? Then you become permanently registered with the Medical and Dental Council of Ghana. After that, you become a general practitioner. After your housemanship, we usually say that you are a medical officer. You hear people medical officer. You hear people using the term MO or maybe GP. Basically the same thing. So during that period, you now have to decide which field you want to go into or specialize in. So during your housemanship is a period where that period is designed to help you make a decision, okay? Because there are 4 main branches in medicine. We have general surgery, we have obstetrics and gynecology, we have internal medicine, and then we have pediatrics, okay? Those who take care of children. So during the 2 years, you do 6 months rotation in each of these major fields of medicine. So by the time you are done, one of those rotations may or might have stimulated your interest, okay? So when you finish, and maybe when you were doing obstetrics and gynecology as a house officer, you had interest in it. Once you are done with your 2-year housemanship period, you're on your own. So you can decide to write an exam. We call it a primary exam. You write that exam to start residency in obstetrics and gynecology. If it's surgery you want to do, you write their exam and then you start residency in surgery or pediatrics or internal medicine, whichever one. And the duration for the residency varies depending on what you want to do. But since your question was with gynecology residency, we have the membership and then we have the fellowship. The membership duration is 3 years. Okay, so after the 3 years of residency, you can be called or you qualify to be a gynecologist. All right? If you want to follow that one up with your fellowship, That one too, depending on how long you want to use to complete the fellowship. If it's 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, that one is dependent on you. So after that, then you become a senior specialist or you become a consultant. All right? So maybe roughly 6 years medical school, 2 years housemanship, 3 years residency, maybe 3 years fellowship. You'll be looking close to maybe 14, 15 years if you want to be a gynecologist from medical school. Please, is that clear? All right.
All right. Now, have you seen the kind of man standing in front of you? He has spent about 15 years in the field to be called a gynecologist. So put your hands together for him. We are pleased to have him here, and you should get all your questions ready. A question here.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Please, I want to know, because sometimes I do hear young ladies saying that I am pregnant, but I didn't know that how I became pregnant because the person was still having the menstruation. What causes that? If you can tell us the cause of that among you.
Sure. Okay, so sometimes it is possible that a woman may be pregnant and she might not know. Okay, it's possible, especially if this person has not been known to be having regular cycles. You know, some women, maybe they menstruate today, 4 months' time before they will menstruate and all that. There's a condition that causes that. Sometimes those who have such conditions, they may be pregnant, but they will think that, oh, maybe it's one of those things because I can go 4 or 3 months without having my menses. So they wouldn't even bother to go and check. It's possible. And sometimes too, yes, bleeding when you are pregnant is a very, very common thing that we experience in the hospital all the time, okay? And it is not normal, even though it is common, because sometimes the bleeding may be a warning sign that you are threatening to have a miscarriage, okay? So when that happens, it means that you need to see a doctor as soon as possible. Also, there is something maybe physiological, let me put it that way. Maybe you were expecting to have your menses today, but then it happened that you got pregnant along the way. But you realize that around the time of your menses, you may see some spotting, some bleeding. That may not necessarily, usually that one will last for maybe a day or two. It may not necessarily be a threatened miscarriage, no. It is something physiological, okay? That can happen. Some women can experience it. But where the bleeding becomes persistent whilst you are pregnant, that is not normal. It means that you need to seek care. Because if care is not taken, you may lose that pregnancy. Okay? All right. But then again, I think sometimes some of the women need to be a bit more responsible. Especially if you have regular periods, you realize that, oh, for a month or two, you've missed your period. It is okay to just do a home pregnancy test to confirm whether you are pregnant or not. But sometimes some of them would wait till, you know, yes. So we just have to be a bit proactive about that. Okay, all right.
Okay, I'm Patience Taylor from Gomwa Senior Technical School. I want to ask whether there are foods that should or should not be eaten whilst during menstruation.
Foods you don't have to eat during menstruation.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I don't know if, well, there is nothing like that. Okay, there is no food that is contraindicated whilst having your menses. You can eat anything you want to eat. Having your menses is just the lining of your womb being shed. That is the physiology about it. It's got nothing to do with food that you are supposed to eat or not to eat. Maybe unless you have allergies to something else. Other than that, there is nothing. You can eat anything you want to eat. Okay?
Doc, I understand her question because for women, we hear that when you're having your menses, you shouldn't drink milk, else you're going to have cramps. Some people don't eat toffees; they're going to have pains or they're going to flow a lot. So let's be specific with the milk. Does it have any effect on your menstrual flow?
Okay, so now everything is evidence-based. Science is evidence-based. Never have I come across any proper research published that says that when you are having your menses, don't take milk. Never come across anything like that. And really, some people say that, oh, when I take this, then I will induce it. See, the thing is physiological. Whether you take that milk or that drink or something, you are going to have your menses. If it's not going to flow, it's not going to flow. Okay, so besides, what is in milk? It's just a dairy product with calcium and other things. It's not going to have any effect on the menses at all. Okay? There is no link. Maybe, if anything, it will be more of something, an effect on your intestines. And there is no link between your intestines and then your womb. They are in different areas altogether. Okay? So milk or caffeine or other things, it doesn't really matter. And she spoke about pain during menses. It's something that is very common, okay? Maybe especially some of you may even have started experiencing it. The term we use for that is dysmenorrhea, okay? Dysmenorrhea. And dysmenorrhea, which is painful menstruation, there are two types. It's either primary or it's secondary. Primary means that there's really no underlying cause for the pain. You are just having the pain because of some substances in your system. Secondary means that there is something causing that pain during your menses. Maybe you have uterine fibroids, or you have endometriosis, or adenomyosis, or something else. Okay? Usually for the primary dysmenorrhea, we would control the pain. And usually those who experience it, sometimes after their first childbirth, you realize that that thing tends to go away. Sometimes it may persist, but then that pain is manageable, okay? It's not got to do with whatever you are taking, no. It's a physiological process. If it is secondary, maybe fibroid is causing that, once you take away the fibroid, that pain is going to go away, okay? Okay.
Thank you, Doctor. I'm Emmanuel. Doctor, please, I want to ask two questions pertaining to the profession. The first one is that I have never seen a female gynecologist. All that I see are males. Is there something to that? And then secondly, what actually inspired you to choose this career pattern? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So maybe you've not visited a lot of hospitals, but there are quite a number of female gynecologists, even though there are more males than females, okay? If you want to see some of the females, visit me at 37. I would introduce you to one, okay, or some of them. Kolebu, they are there. UGMC, they are there. A lot of them are around, even though they are not too common. But now we are having a lot of female gynecologists, all right? And secondly, you wanted to know why I chose gynae? Was that your question?
Yes.
Okay, so, all right. Why I chose to do gynae, I developed the interest in gynae during my housemanship. You know, earlier on I said that you do 6 months rotation in each of these main disciplines, okay? So I had the interest there. And then also, gynae, in a way, is fulfilling. Fulfilling in the sense that you always have this sense of satisfaction, taking care of a pregnant woman through all the stressful conditions, vomiting, sometimes bleeding and all that, and then having another human being come out, okay? That is very, very fulfilling. And also, this is my personal view. As a doctor, I feel that you should be able to both prescribe and also go to theater. Okay? I needed that balance. You know, when you take something like internal medicine, they do not really go to theater. Maybe the way I will go to theater, like yesterday, maybe I'll go and do cesarean section, or I'll go and remove fibroids or remove the uterus and all that. Somebody who does internal medicine won't do that, okay? So I needed also a blend between being in the consulting room and also being in theater, okay? And gynae, in fact, is to obstetrics and gynecology offers that form of flexibility. So this is my main reason why I chose to. And also there are so many things you can do as a gynecologist. Either you are doing ultrasounds alone, either you are into in vitro fertilization, you know. There are a lot of things that you can do as a gynecologist. So these are some of the things that motivated me to choose gynae. Finally, people hardly die, even though some women die when they are going to give birth, or, you know, maybe after fibroid surgery and all that. When you look at the other disciplines, in terms of recording death, it's a bit on the low side. Okay, you know, because as a doctor, it's not easy to see a patient die, especially if you are young in the profession. It can have a big toll on you, you know. So it's a combination of these things that made me choose to do obstetrics and gynecology. All right.
Thank you very much. I'm in the person of Elizabeth Mali Spain. So I want to ask that, is it normal for a teenage girl to menstruate 3 times in a month? To menstruate 3 times in a month.
Okay, so it is not normal. In fact, it doesn't have any place in physiology. If that is happening, one, it could be that, as I said, maybe the axis is not well developed, okay? Or we need to find out why it is happening so. You are supposed to have your menses. The cycle is a monthly business. You don't have to be bleeding 2 or 3 times in a month. The shortest duration of the cycle can be 21 days. The longest allowable length is 35 days. So you realize that if you are having a very short cycle, maybe every 21 days you are having your menses. Then, as in maybe you had your menses on the 1st of January. It means that maybe around 22nd of January, you may have another menses. That is the length of your cycle. It does not really mean that you are having your menses twice in a month, okay? Or maybe your cycle is every 32 days or 34 days, and you had your menses 31st of January, or maybe 25th of January, something. You can go through the whole of February, which is only 28 days, without having your menses. That doesn't mean that in February you didn't have your menses. It was not time for you to have your menses, okay? But once you are having 3, 4, no, that one, it means there is something wrong, and we have to investigate to find out why it is happening that way. Okay, all right.
I think I have the final question to ask. Doc, my interest is in, you are a military officer, a senior wing commander, and you are a gynae. How do you do it? And again, if there is someone here who aspires to be a doctor and hearing that you're a military officer, what would be your words to such a person to inspire them? Thank you.
Okay, so what I would want to say is that, you know, the military is a very professional institution. Sometimes some people think that we are there, we are not learning, all we do is chasing people around. No. Once you are in it, there's a lot of learning that takes place in the military, okay? But you should always have a degree or a basic degree before you join the military. Maybe not always. Sometimes they may take a secondary school certificate for some of the training. That is okay. But even that, once you are in it, some of them always pursue other academic progression and all that. For me personally, I became a specialist before I joined the military. Okay, and in a way, it has given me a very blended or a very reasonable career, because being in the military can also be very demanding. Sometimes you are doing doctor work, and sometimes you have to do military work. All right. Case in point, for the past 2 months, I just resumed work at the hospital just this Thursday. For the past 2 months, I was on a military course, and I was totally taken outside the hospital to focus on a military career. All right. So it gets tough sometimes. But assuming you are here and you want to join the military, my advice is that pursue your degree first, if you would like. Okay. As I said, secondary school certificate is acceptable. But when it comes to military training, we have the officer training and we have the other rank training. Okay. With the officer training, if you do not have a degree, you will not be accepted. Some years ago, they were taking SS certificate, but I think now they've stopped. So you still have to pursue your university